now is just put a little bit of white grease in here so that when we're installing the retainer with the O-ring, we don't sit there and shave a piece off the O-ring and possibly cause leakage. It'll also help it slide in a little easier. The case and the retainer are made pretty tight tolerance-wise. Don't use your O-ring on trial assemblies. There's no reason to pop in and out with the O-ring on there. And we're at the O-ring, so what we're going to have to do is walk that in a little bit with nuts and washers. I mean, you can pound it in, don't really care to do that. I'm not putting oil at this time because I'm just going to try and just get her to walk in a little bit. Once it's over that lip, it'll go in fairly easily. And of course you're going to go back and forth sidewise. We've got them all walked in. It's settled down now, so I've taken these nuts and washers back off because I want to put a drop of lube on each stud thread, which is just one little drop, otherwise it'll just be a mess. And then just reinstall your nuts and washers, finger tight, get them all down in place, and we'll snug them up to 30, and we'll go back and readjust our backlash again, double check everything, and then we should be able to finally torque everything down, final assembly. And just snug them up crisscross. And we're just going to go to 30. Just to make sure we can always final torque. I just want to make sure nothing has changed since we tore it apart, and basically all we've done is really add the O-ring. Okay, run the spanner back in. Spanners control backlash, but they also control side bearing preload. And I don't think we covered that. So basically we'll show you that at the very end after we run this pattern. But we've got our line back up. I always like to loosen the caps just a little extra so that that race can slide. Give her a tap with the mallet, same as the last time. Always tighten your right hand side down first. Just 50. Again, we're just going to double check everything before we take it to the final torque. We've marked our teeth once again. Fresh marking compound. It doesn't hurt to double check. It's going to be a lot easier to do it right now than it is to put this whole thing together and have a problem and wish you had done it. It just takes a couple minutes, no big deal. It's not going to change, but I just always worry about something changing, and I'm not going to change on that. I'll always double check or triple check. You're going to see that the contact pattern is again across from one another down at the toe. Your ghost pattern basically comes out. It's going to be hard to see in a video, but if you look closely, you'll see to where it's actually tried to contact the entire tooth on the new contact pattern, all the way out. Once you stand on the gas once, it will be full tooth contact, but you've got the same thing here. So we're fine there. We just need to double check our backlash. We've got right at 7 again. And you got 6.5, 7 again. Fine. Half dial is not enough to stress about. If you get much more than that, you're going to want to do something, trim it to, well, the spool's brand new, so it's not that, but you could always trim the spool if you have a run out. You can also, another little trick I usually do is to actually cut the sharp edge off both the drive and coast side, pinion and ring, in case there's any high spots from manufacturing. We start off with the retainer sitting around 19 inch-pounds of preload. And you're going to want to, since this is a 3.812, you could go a minimum of 7.5 to 10 inch-pounds on this unit here, being the type of an application it's going to be in. We're going to go to the full 10 inch-pounds. So we're going to end up very close to 30 inch-pounds overall preload to turn the entire assembly. The overall bearing preload, and we should be sitting close to 30, and we're basically right on the dot, so everything appears to be just fine. We've got our backlash is correct, the pattern is beautiful, preload is just nice, so it's time to button this thing up. We're going to go to 45 on the front retainer, and then I just always go double check. And I always go one more. Okay, retainer is done. Okay, so we're setting at 50 on the caps as trial assembly. We're going to go on up to 100 now. And 140 is the final torque. That's your spanner locks in place. I don't really torque the bolt down. I just give her a nice snug. I always like to tap them in and just double check. Okay. We're basically done. The only thing we have to do is put the load bolt in. I like to keep the load bolt about 1/8 of an inch from the ring gear. This billet case does not flex much at all. If that ring gear moves 1/8 of an inch, then this load bolt will help slow it down, but I'm pretty certain it's not going to go anywhere. So basically you just run her in. See, just basically take her out one turn. Run your nut up. And we tighten the nut, and that is it. Tighten her down. And you want to tighten it down fairly well so you don't get any leaks. Now you're sitting about 1/8 of an inch off that ring gear, and you're done. You're going to want to run her in on stands a little bit with some lube to let everything settle in. And if possible, make an easy pass. I know it's hard to do in some other cars. But that's it.